it's me, Donna Heifel, and welcome to Corplite Workshop. Today we were actually going to bring our workshop from a playground. We thought that would be a great idea, and I'll tell you why in a minute. However, between the guy doing the yard work and the guy hitting the baseball and the teacher who kept hitting the beeper on her car, and we don't know why, we decided that maybe the school playground was not the best place to shoot from, so we're going to shoot from the car. And today we are talking about, still carrying on the theme of performance, but I'm going to a little bit different direction that's going to give us more depth. We're going to talk about communication. And I know that a lot of people say, oh, communication, listening, speaking, we know how to do that. We've heard about it all our lives. The fact is that every major issue I've dealt with in some very large companies always break down to a lack of communication or an issue between two people. And it had to do with something that was not heard correctly or something that was not said correctly. So I want to talk today a little bit about, in particular, the listening element. And I was thinking about the two components of conversation. I actually was remembering something about earthquakes. And the reason I thought about earthquakes is because when I was 8 years old, and here's where the playground comes into play that we didn't get to use. When I was 8 years old, I had just moved to San Bernardino, California from Virginia, and I was out on a playground, and all of a sudden I heard this deep rumbling, and I saw swings start moving and nobody was on them. I was totally freaked out, and I looked at my new friends and I said, what is this? And they said, oh, it's an earthquake, we have them all the time. And I became kind of mesmerized by them, and as I actually experienced stronger and stronger earthquakes while I was out there. The fact is that if you really study earthquakes, it's basically two tectonic, they call it, but it's pieces of rock. And what happens is all this pressure builds up between them in this gap, and they don't have room to slide. And eventually this stress builds and builds because of the rigidity of the rock, and it simply has to breathe. There has to be movement, and so you get the shifting, which causes the tremors, which causes the earthquake. And as I was thinking about that, I was thinking about the importance of how we listen and how we speak. And this is not just one of those fluffy topics we like to discuss. Actually, University of Maryland just did a study recently that said that hospitals lose up to $12 billion a year because of communication issues. The fact is that patients that should have been discharged earlier sometimes stay in the hospital 1 to 2 days too long because the nurse does not want to interact with the doctor because they might have a nasty temperament, they can't get a hold of him, they don't know where he is. So it's costing hospitals $12 billion a year. That's a big issue. So we're going to spend the next few weeks talking about communication, and let's start with the element of listening. And I've just got two things to say. If you're a salesperson, if you're a service person, whatever it is you do, there are two things that you should always do when listening. Number one is be insatiably curious. That is, when you are talking to the customer or the client, absolutely be fastidious about finding out as much as you can about them. And that means every customer or client, I want you to challenge yourself to ask at least 3 questions before you offer an opinion, before you offer your solution, before you do anything. Ask 3 questions and really be curious. I've had people ask in communication classes, how can I seem more interested in people? I'm like, hello, be more interested in people. Actually try to find out something about them. So first of all, be insatiably curious. And second of all, write down and discover facts. Don't look for fault lines. Too often in conversation, what we do is we wait for this fatal flaw moment where someone says something that we know is wrong and we know something more, or it's somebody maybe we're irritated with and we're trying to find something we can jump on rather than staying focused on the solution that they need. So 2 things, be insatiably curious. Secondly, whether it's a customer or a spouse, listen for facts before you form your final opinion. Don't look for fault lines. 2 simple things into becoming a more effective listener. I'm sure some of you have even better ideas. I'd love to see your comments on the blog. Let me know what you think. And also, we do have a written blog this week on Corplite, www.corplite.com. We've got a blog that we've written on listening topic that has a few other different ideas as well. So thanks for coming along on the drive. I'm sorry the playground didn't work out. I think you would have enjoyed it, but we're glad you're here, and we will talk to you next week. And remember, at Corplite, we believe in the people side of performance. Thanks.